Proverbs chapter 22, the Passion Translation. Subheader: How to live a life of wisdom. A beautiful reputation is more to be desired than great riches, and to be esteemed by others is more honorable than to own immense investments. The rich and the poor have one thing in common: the Lord God created each one. A prudent person with insight foresees danger coming and prepares himself for it. But the senseless rush blindly forward and suffer the consequences. Laying your life down in tender surrender before the Lord will bring life, prosperity, and honor as your reward. Twisted and perverse lives are surrounded by demonic influence. If you value your soul, stay far away from them. Dedicate your children to God and point them in the way that they should go, and the values they've learned from you will be with them for life. If you borrow money with interest, you'll end up serving the interests of your creditors. For the rich rule over the poor. Sin is a seed that brings a harvest. You'll reap a heap of trouble with every seed you plant. For your investment in sin pays a full return, the full punishment you deserve. When you are generous to the poor, you are enriched with blessings in return. Say goodbye to a troublemaker, and you'll say goodbye to quarrels, strife, tension, and arguments. For a troublemaker traffics in shame. The Lord loves those whose hearts are holy, and He is the friend of those whose ways are pure. God passionately watches over His deep reservoir of revelation knowledge, but He subverts the lies of those who pervert the truth. A slacker always has an excuse for not working, like, I can't go to work, there's a lion outside, and murderers too. Sex with an adulteress is like falling into the abyss. Those under God's curse jump right in to their own destruction. Although rebellion is woven into a young man's heart, tough discipline can make him into a man. There are two kinds of people headed toward poverty: those who exploit the poor and those who bribe the rich. Subheader: Sayings of the wise sages. Listen carefully and open your heart. Drink in the wise revelation that I impart. You'll become winsome and wise when you treasure the beauty of my words, and always be prepared to share them at the appropriate time. For I'm releasing these words to you this day, yes, even to you, so that your living hope will be found in God alone. For He is the one who is always true. Pay attention to these excellent sayings of threefold things. For within my words you will discover true and reliable revelation. They will give you serenity, so that you can reveal the truth of the word of the one who sends you. Never oppress the poor or pass laws with the motive of crushing the weak, for the Lord will rise to plead their case and humiliate the one who humiliates the poor. Walk away from an angry man, or you'll embrace a snare in your soul by becoming bad-tempered, just like him. Why would you ever guarantee a loan for someone else, or promise to be responsible for someone else's debts? For if you fail to pay, you could lose your shirt. The previous generation has set boundaries in place. Don't you dare move them just to benefit yourself. If you are uniquely gifted in your work, you will rise and be promoted. You won't be held back. You'll stand before kings. Proverbs 22, Amplified Translation. Subheader: On life and conduct. A good name, earned by honorable behavior, godly wisdom, moral courage, and personal integrity, is more desirable than great riches. and favor is better than silver and gold. The rich and poor have a common bond. The Lord is the maker of them all. A prudent and far-sighted person sees the evil of sin and hides himself from it. But the naive continue on and are punished by suffering the consequences of sin. The reward of humility, that is, having a realistic view of one's importance, and the reverent, worshipful fear of the Lord, is riches, honor, and life. Thorns and snares are in the way of the obstinate, for their lack of honor and their wrongdoing traps them. He who guards himself with godly wisdom will be far from them and avoid the consequences they suffer. Train up a child in the way he should go, teaching him to seek God's wisdom and will for his abilities and talents. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. He who sows injustice will reap a harvest of trouble, and the rod of his wrath, with which he oppresses others, will fail. He who is generous will be blessed, for he gives some of his food to the poor. Drive out the scoffer, and contention will go away. Even strife and dishonor will cease. He who loves purity of heart, and whose speech is gracious, will have the king as his friend. The eyes of the Lord keep guard over knowledge and the one who has it, but he overthrows the words of the treacherous. The lazy one manufactures excuses and says, "There is a lion outside. I will be killed in the streets if I go out to work." The mouth of an immoral woman is a deep pit, deep and inescapable. He who is cursed by the Lord because of his adulterous sin will fall into it. Foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child. The rod of discipline, correction, administered with godly wisdom and loving kindness, will remove it far from him. He who oppresses or exploits the poor to get more for himself, or who gives to the rich to gain influence and favor, will only come to poverty. Listen carefully and hear the words of the wise, and apply your mind to knowledge. For it will be pleasant if you keep them in mind, incorporating them as guiding principles. Let them be ready on your lips to guide and strengthen yourself and others, so that your trust and in reliance and confidence may be in the Lord. I have taught these things to you today, even to you. Have I not written to you excellent things, in counsels and knowledge, to let you know the certainty of the words of truth, that you may give a correct answer to him who sent you? Do not rob the poor because he is poor and defenseless, nor crush the afflicted by legal proceedings at the gate, where the city court is held. For the Lord will plead their case and take the life of those who rob them. Do not even associate with a man given to angry outbursts, or go along with a hot-tempered man, or you will learn his undisciplined ways and get yourself trapped in a situation from which it is hard to escape. Do not be among those who give pledges, involving themselves in others' finances, or among those who become guarantors for others' debts. If you have nothing with which to pay another's debt when he defaults, why should his creditor take your bed from under you? Do not move the ancient landmark at the boundary of the property which your fathers have set. Do you see a man skillful and experienced in his work? He will stand in honor before kings. He will not stand before obscure men. Proverbs 22, New Living Translation. Choose a good reputation over great riches. Being held in high esteem is better than silver or gold. The rich and poor have this in common: the Lord made them both. A prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. True humility and fear of the Lord lead to riches, honor, and long life. Corrupt people walk a thorny, treacherous road. Whoever values life will avoid it. Direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they will not leave it. Just as the rich rule the poor, so the borrower is servant to the lender. Those who plant injustice will harvest disaster, and their reign of terror will come to an end. Blessed are those who are generous, because they feed the poor. Throw out the mocker, and fighting goes too. Quarrels and insults will disappear. Whoever loves a pure heart and gracious speech will have the king as a friend. The Lord preserves those with knowledge, but he ruins the plans of the treacherous. The lazy person claims, "There's a lion out there. If I go outside, I might be killed." The mouth of an immoral woman is a dangerous trap. Those who make the Lord angry will fall into it. A youngster's heart is filled with foolishness, but physical discipline will drive it far away. A person who gets ahead by oppressing the poor or by showering gifts on the rich will end in poverty. Subheader: Sayings of the Wise. Listen to the words of the wise. Apply your heart to my instruction. For it is good to keep these sayings in your heart and always ready on your lips. I am teaching you today, yes, you, so you will trust in the Lord. I have written 30 sayings for you, filled with advice and knowledge. In this way you may know the truth and take an accurate report to those who sent you. Don't rob the poor just because you can, or exploit the needy in court. For the Lord is their defender. He will ruin anyone who ruins them. Don't befriend angry people or associate with hot-tempered people, or you will learn to be like them and endanger your soul. Don't agree to guarantee another person's debt or put up security for someone else. If you can't pay it, even your bed will be snatched from under you. Don't cheat your neighbor by moving the ancient boundary markers set up by previous generations. Do you see any truly competent workers? They will serve kings rather than working for ordinary people.